Hello and welcome to a wild and windy West Wales. I hope this video finds you well, and what I was thinking I would do in this video is collect some ivy berries for natural dyeing, draft out my sewing pattern for my bag that I want to make, plus I've got a bare rooted apple tree that really does need to go in the ground. Whether I'll get all that done, wait and see. So the other thing I wanted to check today was the nettle stalks to see if they're ready to be harvested, and the technique I'm using is root retting, where you let the stems stay on the plant until they've gone sort of crispy, and then you harvest them, take them back and extract the fibre. I'm not sure how successful this is going to be. This is absolutely an experiment, but I'm probably not going to do that today, but I do want to check them. So I'm going to turn the camera around and show you what I mean. So these are nettle stalks and they've all dried. What I should be able to do is cut them off very close to the ground and take them back home, dry them and extract the fibre. I don't know whether these are big enough to do that, but the only way to find out is to try it. As I said, it's probably not a job for today because I have got other things on my list. Oh, Millie, have you got an ouchie? Oh, have you got an ouchie? What's up with your little foot? Got an ouchie? Oh dear. Been stepping on prickly things. Hey? Oh dearie. Her ouchie's better. I think she obviously trod on a little bramble or something. She's fine, she's back on four legs. Right, okay, this is what I was looking for, ivy. So I've got my secateurs, I've got a bag to put them in, so I'm going to collect a reasonable amount because I'm going to do a slightly different method than I normally use to extract the colour. These are lovely dark green, and you can just use the hot water method to extract the colour, but I'm going to try an alcohol extraction and just see if that makes any difference. Oh, the sun's come out so you can see my shadow. See, there she is. No ouchie anymore. Good girl. So I'm back from our walk and I'm going to take advantage of this dry, fingers crossed, dry weather and actually plant a bare rooted apple tree that we were given for Christmas by my parents, and it's a James Grieve on an M9. I will explain a little bit more about that if you're not familiar with fruit trees and the dwarfing rootstock, but what I'm going to have to do now is actually get on with digging a hole because the clouds are gathering and I don't want to lose this weather. Every time I dig a hole in this garden, it's like doing an archaeological excavation because there are so many big stones. So I can only get so far with a spade, and then I have to get the little fork out and then just sort of scrape out the big stones. And this is true all over the garden, apart from where the raised beds were put in, and they were put in before we moved here. So Millie's having a lovely time because everybody's out in the garden and it's not raining for the first time in what feels like months. I mean, that is an exaggeration, but it does feel like a long time. and it's really not that cold. I think that hole is deep enough, but let's go and have a look at the apple tree. So this is the apple tree, and I just healed this in. Well, I didn't actually heal it in, I just dug it in when it arrived because it's bare rooted, which is a maiden. So I'm just going to lift this up and check it in the hole. So this is a grafted tree, there's the graft, so we want the graft to be above ground level, and ideally we want the ground level to be about the same as it was when it was growing. Are you helping, Millie? Do you think you're being a lot of help? Hey, do you think you're being very helpful? I think you might be, yes. Could you maybe not stand in the hole? Oops. So, yeah, so I think that's about right. And now I'm going to mix up some compost to go in the bottom of the hole, with the help from Millie by the looks of it. So in my bucket I have a mixture of shop-bought compost and shop-bought topsoil, and I'm just going to make a big muddy mess, which is kind of fun, and put a little bit of this in the bottom. Well, hello, and here we are again. How many days since I did that little bit of filming, planting a tree? Can't remember. Anyway, quite a lot's happened since then. So our shower decided that it didn't want to work anymore. It's an electric shower, and it was just a switch on the electric, so had to find an engineer or a electrician. Found one, excellent, very reasonable, got it fixed. But there was about kind of 4 days where we were having to just kind of have a wash in the sink rather than have a shower, which was a bit boring, but hey ho, you know, not the worst thing that can happen to you, is it? And had a friend over for lunch, that was very lovely. And now here we are, and it's raining again. Of course it is. Now, in my last video, I was having a go at spinning cotton, and I sort of said, complete beginner, please send me tips. You did, lots of lovely tips, and a particularly good tip from Nadine, who is in the school community, the Ply and Dye school community, which is the free fibre arts community that I run over on school. And she actually sent me a little video of how she makes her little ponies, and having done that, I was then able to start to get a bit of long draw. So I am going to pass on what Nadine passed on to me. There were lots of other really excellent tips that were also extremely helpful. So thank you, thank you, thank you to everybody that sent me a helpful hint on how to spin cotton. Really excellent. So I thought I would share a bit of my progress. I also have another thank you, and so Beeswax Alchemy a very lovely gift from Mand, who bought that off the wish list that's in the description. So thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to sharing some of the projects with you from this book, and it's sort of everything to do with beeswax. And there are some nice fibre arts projects as well, because there's a bit of batik and kind of printing and dyeing and using beeswax to make sandwich wraps, and yeah, all sorts of good stuff like that. So next thing I'm going to do is actually tell you a little bit about the tree that we planted a few days ago. So it was James Grieve, and that is a dessert apple, but actually you can use it to cook with as well, because it does make really good apple sauce. It just sort of breaks down nicely like a cooker does. It's on an M9 dwarfing rootstock, which means that it will get no bigger when it's fully grown. It'll get no bigger than 10 foot. Because I actually prune the trees, then it probably wouldn't get to that anyway. And we also don't have brilliant soil, as you would have seen. So again, it probably won't get to that sort of height. So yeah, looking forward to that fruiting. Probably not going to be for 3 or 4 years before it actually has fruit on it, because as I said, it's a maiden, meaning it's a 1-year-old stick in the ground. Okay, so I'm just going to turn the camera around and going to do a little bit more of prepping with this cotton fibre top, Egyptian cotton. It's quite short staple length, but I'm going to show you the tip that was passed on to me, or the tips that were passed on to me, and hopefully they'll be helpful to you. I have my wool comb, because wool combs is all I've got. I have 2 knitting needles, and I'm using 4mm. Sorry, I don't know what that is in American, but they're kind of what you'd use for DK weight. And then just pulling off a little bit of the cotton and using the first sort of inch or so of the card. Did I just call them combs? They're not combs, are they? If I called them combs, I meant cards. They are hand cards, but they're wool hand cards. And just sort of fill it up like that, but just using the first little bit. Then sort of sandwiching, and then sort of pulling and rolling. And sliding them off. And repeating. Okay, so pinning on, and I've kind of repositioned myself. I have my wheel down here, so I will change the angle in a minute, so you can see that I'm actually sort of starting to get long draw. And as I said, it was a combination of lots of people's tips, and I kind of tried the various different things, and I sort of suddenly it just clicked and I started to get it. I haven't practiced it an awful lot, so it might take me a little while just to kind of get that rhythm again, but it definitely had improved hugely. And I will keep practicing, and eventually I hope to get to a point where I can make more of a how-to video rather than a kind of this is my journey video, if that makes sense. Anyway, let's change the camera angle so you can see what I'm doing. My neighbour's dog has decided to bark quite a lot. My dog's not joining in for once. She's having a little snooze in the other room with Andrew. We went for our walk a bit early because the forecast is for the rain to get really heavy. And she doesn't do rain. She really doesn't. So I'm going to start with that one and just see. That one's a little bit falling apart. So start with this one. See how we go. So, smaller whirl, pretty low tension. So I'm putting a lot of twist in. And let's just build up a bit of twist. just join this on. And oh, we're not getting, so pinch and pull, and you can see that it's getting there. Now what you can't see is, oh, there's a little dog has just come to say hello. She's at the door. She's obviously heard the neighbour's dog barking and has come to investigate. So I might have to let her in a minute. But as you can see, I have started to get it. It's not 100% there, you know, I'm not kind of getting it 100% of the time, but I am starting to get it right. I can, the dog's sort of making little growling noises. Hang on a minute. You coming in? What you doing? You coming in? Hello, little one. That's not a brilliant place to stand, is it? Okay, so let's make sure we've got plenty of twist going in. I mean, you can see I've still got quite a few slubs and I haven't really got this 100%, but it is getting there and it will get better. Oh, I went a bit, I mean, it's a bit thick and thin, but as I say, it will get there. And pinch and so there we go. It is coming along, and I'm getting my shoulders a bit high, but we will keep going and keep going and keep practicing, and it will eventually get there. Every so often I sort of get it and it's like, ah, oh, brilliant, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. So there we go. So that's how far I've got with the cotton spinning. I will keep practicing, and I'm really hoping that I'm going to be able to give you more of a sort of demonstration style of video kind of at some point as I get better. But 3 most important things are hand spinning, practice, practice, practice. So I will be, you know, taking on my own advice and practicing some more. Okay, so at the beginning of the video, I had a couple of other projects that I really wanted to make a start on. And one of them was the upcycling jeans project, turning a pair of thrifted jeans into a sort of boho style over the shoulder bag. And I've now drawn out the pattern and that is kind of almost ready to go, but I think that is going to be a completely separate video. I might have underestimated how much fabric I need. I don't know, but because it's sort of upcycled and boho, or as I said the first time I recorded this little section, more of a hobo bag. My current bag looks like a hobo's bag, but actually I want to make a boho bag. Yeah, so that is kind of underway, and that I think will be the kind of probably be the next video. Now, I was also collecting ivy berries at the beginning of this video, and that is going to be ongoing. I need to buy some cheap white wine in order to steep the berries in it to extract the colour, which I will do. I'm going to the supermarket either later on today or tomorrow, so I will get some cheapo white wine and actually kind of get that process started. So there you go, that has been my creative week. I hope you are having lots of fun with your creativity and making beautiful things, and I will see you in the next video.